Okay, Jim, well, back to football. First of all, Morton this weekend. Just, what's your thoughts heading into this game? Obviously, you're on a very good run of form. Great result again in the Cup last weekend. How are you feeling going into this one?
Well, as you'd imagine, we're in a very good place psychologically. The boys have got a lot of confidence, and we want to carry on the unbeaten run that we're on at the moment. Morton probably at the other scale at the moment. They're on a little bit of a difficult run, law of averages would say that at some point they've got to win a game, and at some point we've got to lose a game, and that's probably what our main driving factor is at the moment. That we don't want this unbeaten run to come to an end anytime soon. So we have to approach the game in the correct mindset. Not listen to what people might say outside. A lot of people might look at the fixture and think it's a foregone conclusion given the good run of form that we're in, but we don't underestimate Morton. I know a fair few of the players in the Morton team. I've worked with a number of them in the past. Obviously Dougie Imrie's been an ex-teammate of mine over the years as well, so they've got a lot of good experience. Quite an aggressive team, very well organised, hard working, and they've also got some good attacking players as well. I like the boy Crawford. Katongo's a threat on that right hand side as well, and they've got two physical strikers. If Oakley is fit, I would imagine he'll line up alongside Muirhead, so it'll be a different challenge for us than one that we faced in recent weeks against a different style of football, but we have to adapt, and we have to make sure that we're professional on the day and do what we can to get the job done.
And you sit top of the table. I know you won't like to get carried away, but how confident are you feeling that you can keep that going this season? And with that comes the sort of pressure, I suppose, that Dundee United are the team to beat, and you're really showing that already.
I think it's very early days. I think where we are in the league table is where probably most people would expect us to be. We're not looking for too many plaudits or pats on the back. I believe that we've built the strongest squad. There's no getting away from the fact that we are probably the biggest club in the league. We've got the biggest budget in the league, so we're not doing anything that isn't expected of us. But at the same time, I've got to credit my players, because you can only beat the opposition that's out there in front of you, and it's not a foregone conclusion by any stretch of the imagination when we go into games at the weekend. We expect to win. We believe if we play to the levels we're capable of, that we will win. But it's about not underestimating the opposition. It's about maintaining the high standards that have been shown up to now, and it's about doing that consistently, and that's the hardest part. Really good teams can put runs together, unbeaten runs, 10, 12 games, and do it consistently, and that's what the top teams do. And for us to be recognised as a top team in the championship, then that's what we have to do as well.
And we were just speaking there to Louis Moult, who came in, and you said yourself it had been tough to get him had he been a fully fit Louis Moult over the last couple of years. But he's already shown what an asset he can be. How pleased are you with how he's shown himself so far?
Well, delighted with him, obviously. His goals return has been very good. He's had a number of assists as well in the season up to now. A lot of managers out there probably would have been put off by the last couple of seasons, but I had a really good, honest and frank conversation with him about the injuries. The ankle injury that he suffered is something that I had suffered in the early days when I was at Scunthorpe many years ago. So when he was explaining it to me on the phone, I knew exactly what was going on, and the tidy up that he had most recently has completely cured it. And I think he trains every day. We look after him through the week. He has a different program sometimes to some of the other players, but the other boys in the team don't mind that. They recognise the fact that he's a very important player and a special player for us, and sometimes you need to manage these guys a little bit differently. But the most important thing for me is that Louis is available on a match day, and thankfully up to now, with the hard work of the medical team, the strength and conditioning guys, the sports science team, we've been managing him brilliantly. And in fairness to him, his attitude and his application since coming in through the door has been exemplary. So he's having a good season up to now, but another one that I would recommend not to get carried away, just to remember why he's doing what he's doing. It's because of the hard work he's putting in Monday to Friday that he's getting the results on a Saturday.
And how's your team news heading into the game?
we've got a fully fit group apart from Ross Docherty, which is a great position for me to be in. Craig Sybil joined back in with the group this week. We'll make a decision on him tomorrow whether he's going to be involved in the matchday squad on Saturday, but he's way ahead of schedule, a couple of weeks ahead of schedule, which is credit to him and the medical team. I've got all the boys back from international duty who missed out last weekend, Meekison, McLeod and Newman. So I've got a very strong, healthy squad to choose from, and this will be the first week for a long time where there might be 2 or 3 boys missing out altogether from the 20. So some difficult decisions to make, but a great position for any manager to be in.
Jim, can I ask you, you mentioned there about expecting to win. For some players it may be difficult to take that in, that there's an expectancy to win, because in the Premiership I think anybody expects to win, possibly other outside the Celtic and Rangers, on a weekly basis. But because you're the big guns in the Championship, does that mean that they have to have a different mental approach to not only training in the way they train, but also the game day, which is the most important bit?
Definitely, I think it is a mindset thing more than anything else, and I think when you start to become complacent or think that the job is an easy one, then that's when it comes back to bite you. And it's my job to keep reiterating the importance of the standards that we set through the week and to make sure that they're maintained on a match day. We've got a very competitive squad. I'm very lucky to be in the position that we're in. I think we've done really well with the budget available to us to bring in the quality of players that we've been able to bring in. I say there's a level of expectancy. I don't want that to sound arrogant or disrespectful to any of the other opposition. We believe in ourselves, we believe in the squad, and I think when I'm saying we expect to win, that's the pressure that we put on ourselves.
There's an expectancy from the fans though, because of the club and the size of Club United are, against with great respect to their opponents, that happens.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, some players in the squad probably haven't felt that before at previous clubs, and it is a different kind of psychological battle that you have. I think back to my days as a player at St Mirren. If we had gone into a block of maybe 6 league games looking toward the future and we won 2 of those, drew 2 of those and lost 2, I think that might have been acceptable from everybody. Whereas here at Dundee United, in the league that we're in, with what our objective is to go and try and win the league, we're looking at those blocks of 6 games and thinking, right, well, we want to win 4, possibly draw 1, and if we have a wee defeat in there along the way, then that's acceptable. There is a real level of expectation put on us from outside. You guys in the media have built us up to be the favourites, and rightly so, given everything that we've got, all the trappings of the budget, the stadium, the fan base, the history of the club. And but you've got to shoulder that as players. You've got to rise to that, and not everybody can. I think you see that at some of the other bigger clubs, not just in Scotland but throughout the UK and Europe. You've got to have a strong mindset, and I think that's where we've got things right this season up to now. But I keep reminding the players that if you start to get too comfortable and think that life's all rosy, then that's when the wheels can come off. So let's just take each game as it comes. Every single fixture has got a different kind of thing to it in terms of opposition playing different tactics, different styles. As I said, Morton on Saturday is going to be a really, really physical battle. And we've got to do the basics well first and foremost, and then hopefully our good football and philosophy will shine through.
In terms of when you're doing recruitment as a manager, does that mean that you look not only for ability, you're always looking for that, but you're also looking now for that key grade, which is a positive mindset, and that whatever happens, that's never going to change?
Yeah, I mean, recruitment for me is obviously the most important part of any manager's job. That's what you're going to be judged at or judged by at the end of the day, and that's what your league campaign will depend on. Character is right at the top of the list for me. I've not signed players in the past based on a feel that I get for them on a personal level, whether it's sitting down having a coffee with him and coming away from it thinking maybe me and him are going to work well together. Might have all the ability in the world and be a very good player technically, but if they can't accept the demands that we're going to put on them as a group of staff Monday to Friday, then there's going to be fallout, unfortunately. So I think that's the bit that we've got right this season so far. I think you look at the experienced players that we've brought into the group, Walton in goal, Gallagher and Holt, I think they've struck up definitely the best centre-half pairing in the league up to now. Docherty, Sibbald, Louis Moult at the top end. Tony Watt has stepped up to the plate, vice-captain now. I think we've got that bit really done properly in terms of no big egos, just everybody understanding and appreciating their job in the team. And then we've got a great blend of young players coming through behind that with great energy levels and enthusiasm. And so yeah, look, I'm in a very lucky position, but it's still very, very early days. We have had some injuries to key players, and I think the pleasing thing for me is that we still looked a decent team, albeit we've lost Docherty and lost Sibbald for a number of games. Other guys have stepped in and really stepped up, and that's a real pleasing factor for me.
Do you sense, Jim, within the club, not necessarily in the football side, but within the club in general, that there is now a bit of daylight at the end of the tunnel after what's been certainly a very, very dark year?
I think the fans can appreciate the hard work that's gone on behind the scenes, and Luigi Capuano stepped into the chief executive seat and works tirelessly. Myself and him have got a really good dialogue going on between us. We've had to make a lot of changes. I think the changes that we've made were necessary. No disrespect to the guys who have left, whether it's staff members or players, but we had to make those changes for a number of different reasons. There was budget requirements with that as well, and we had to balance the books like any other club. But we've made significant changes to the staff. Changed the sports science department, brought in a new head of goalkeeping in Paul Mathers, who's been different class. He can take a lot of credit as well, along with Jack Walton and the defenders, for the clean sheets and that defensive record that we've got. I think we're heading in the right direction, But as I said, to one of the previous questions, I'm not sitting here trying to say that we're working miracles here, because we're not. We're doing what everybody out there would expect of a club of Dundee United size. As I said, with the budget that I have available to me, I'm in a very, very lucky position to be able to sign the likes of Louis Moult and Declan Gallagher. So, the hard part is to win the games, because everybody raises their game against us, whether they come to Tannadice or whether we go on the road. It's like a cup final a lot of times for the opposition, and our players have to be able to handle that. And up to now, thankfully, they've handled that with real aplomb.
Jim, just one from me. You gave young Owen Sturton his debut last weekend, only 16 years old. You must have very high hopes for him, and it also goes to show, if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Owen has only just come in on his first full-time contract in the summer there, and be working away with the under-18s with Brian Grant and the boys there. He trained with the first team about a month ago, and we all were kind of pleasantly surprised with this tall, gangly 16-year-old striker who came and done really, really well against the likes of Declan Gallagher and Kevin Holt. So we've sporadically been kind of bringing him over to train with the first team, continuing to play his games with the 18s. He got his opportunity on Saturday due to the fact that Rory McLeod was away with Scotland on international duty, and he played for the last 25 half an hour and done really, really well. He's a player that we've got high hopes for, but again, it's very early days. We don't want to be getting too far ahead of ourselves, but number 9s in the modern day game, they need to be mobile, they need to be quick, and they need to be physically strong. And I think you can see from the physical aspect of it, he's not quite there yet. He's still got a lot of natural development to do as he continues to get older and grow. But we're going to try and help speed up that process with the sports science side of things, the nutrition, and hopefully, in another 12 to 18 months' time, we'll have our very own number 9 who's came through the academy here, because there's a lot of investment made in the academy here at Dundee United, and a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes. And as first team manager, I've got to be brave enough to chuck these boys in and see if they can sink or swim.